Aloha, everyone. I think we'll get started. Thank you for joining us today. CED Greentech is excited to help promote and expand the battery bonus program. I know many of the people on this call, but for those that don't know me, my name is Ben McCormick. I've been in the solar energy industry for the past 15 years, here in Hawaii for 8, and I've managed the Oahu and Maui locations of CED Greentech for the past 5 years. Next slide, Hannah. Before we get started, there's info sheets that are available under handouts, and we're going to be answering questions at the end. There's an optional 30-minute question and answer period from 12 to 12:30. Next slide. During my solar career, I've had a lot of exciting twists and turns, but from its onset, I've never been part of something as meaningful and important as battery bonus. Next slide. We have an opportunity, and I would say also an obligation, to replace a 50 megawatt coal plant with distributed energy and storage. This is a tall task. Next slide. So in 2020, on the island of Oahu, we installed, as an industry, roughly 4,600 PV systems. So far, through the first 8 months of this year, we're tracking at about 2,700. We typically double that in the last 4 months of the year. So for 2021, we're looking at about 5,400 systems. In order to meet the goals of battery bonus, we're going to need to double this to 10,000 systems. There's going to be more than enough work to go around for all contractors, all the manufacturers, all the battery technologies, all distributors, and all the finance partners. It's really going to take the cooperation of the entire industry to be able to reach the 50 megawatts required by battery bonus. Next slide. So I've had some initial discussions with folks on this call, and it was clear that there was good initial momentum for battery bonus, but there were also many questions and some challenges. So people, when I was talking to contractors, they were interested in program updates as well as learning from each one of the manufacturers how they were going to work within the confines of battery bonus to meet the parameters within battery bonus. We also felt that the volume of installations required by battery bonus kind of exposed the gap between traditional bank loans and higher dealer fee fintech offerings. So we organized Battery Bonus Week to provide updates from HSEA, Hawaiian Electric, our sponsored manufacturers, as well as to introduce a new finance offering. Next slide. So the general structure of Battery Bonus Week will be today's opening session, followed by 3 breakout sessions for each of our sponsoring manufacturers. We're also going to offer 3 identical sessions for our Aloha Flex Hawaii specific loan. And all of these sessions are open to any contractor that wants to attend. So if you haven't signed up for any sessions that sound interesting, feel free to do that. In terms of speakers, we're pleased to have Mould, the Executive Director of HSEA, lead things off. Going to be followed up with Kaiulani Shinsato and her team from Hawaiian Electric, who are going to address program updates. Matt Kay with the Concert Finance team will introduce the Aloha Flex loan. Then our vendor sponsors, Generac, Enphase, and QCells, will give 5-minute presentations previewing what they're going to discuss in their breakout sessions later in the week. We do anticipate there'll be questions, so we're going to have an optional 30-minute Q&A session from 12 to 12:30. We ask that you submit questions in the questions bar so that the questions can be recorded. We're going to prioritize questions for Hawaiian Electric and HSEA for today's Q&A. Questions related to Generac, Enphase, and QCells will be logged and entered in their corresponding breakout sessions later in the week. Again, CED Greentech, Hawaiian Electric, HSEA, and all of our sponsors, thank you for joining us. Let's hand it off to Rocky to get things started.
Great. Thanks, Ben. Can you take that through the transition, please, Hannah, all the way? I'm Rocky Mould. I'm the Executive Director of the Hawaii Solar Energy Association. I'm going to give a brief, update on what's going on in the market right now regarding the battery bonus. But before I do that, I just want to thank Ben and CED Greentech and the whole team here for putting this on. It really is this kind of, dedication and motivation and animation in the market that we were hoping to see and that we need in order to meet not only the goal for the battery bonus program, but also Hawaii's overall renewable energy and socioeconomic goals, of which HSEA is a big proponent. Next slide, please. So Hawaii Solar Energy Association, we are a nonprofit trade association. We've been incorporated since 1977. I think that makes us the oldest ongoing solar association in the world, if I'm not mistaken, but maybe just the United States. Anyway, we've been around a while, and I'm totally honored to be working with them now, having been part of the industry for the past 10, 15 years. We advocate for solar hot water, PV, battery storage, and other DER enabling policies. We have about 100 members, a little over 100 members right now, and we're active in legislative, regulatory, and local issues. This battery bonus program came out of that advocacy, and HSEA, along with other partner organizations, has been a big driver of this program. Next slide, please. So as way of background, as I was saying, the battery bonus program came out of regulatory proceedings, and the Public Utilities Commission identified the need for 50 megawatts of energy reserve in response to the retirement of the AES coal plant, along with delays or potential delays in some utility scale RFPs. The PUC asked for emergency demand response proposals from parties in the DER docket number 2019-0323, and this comes, this proposal comes out of that. The DER parties, of which HSEA is a member, and the other parties to the DER docket filed our proposals on May 3rd of 2021. Just really, this proceeding has been going at a really rapid pace, a pace that you don't normally see. And as a result, there's been a need to sort of continue our engagement with the PUC, with Hawaiian Electric, and other parties to sort of sand down some of the edges as this really interesting program was being designed, sort of as the plane was flying, if you will. The commission came out with its decision in order establishing the program, and Hawaiian Electric filed its implementation plan in July, and by August 1st, Hawaiian Electric began accepting applications. The DER parties and other parties have done a number of other filings, asking questions and surfacing sort of remaining issues that we see in the docket. And all of that information is there in that docket if you want to go find it. Next slide, please. So I'll go really, I wanted to put these slides in there for, as a leave behind, but I really wanted to go through quickly some of the key provisions, requirements, and benefits. There are two ways to connect to the, to join the program: through Quick Connect, which is an expedited or pre-approval process, or a regular amendment form. Lonnie will take you through all this, I'm sure, but there's all this information is available on a website with Hawaiian Electric. The contractor's role is really vital to the rollout of this program. So making sure that you all are educated about the program, about the ins and outs, the benefits, and the provisions in it is really important. And it's a role that we see HSEA taking. So please, particularly HSE members, feel free to reach out at any time with questions. All interconnection tariffs are eligible to enroll in this program. And the incentives, the performance payments that you get are locked in with the filing of an SDP amendment form. And that requires the proof of a building permit or building permit application. It was decided that July 1st is the cutoff date, so any batteries that receive permission to operate prior to 7/1 are not eligible for the program. Next slide, please. I won't go through all these points, but there the key point here is that there are a number of requirements that customers will need to accept in order to join this program. It's not a giveaway of a battery. There are technical requirements that the customer will need to commit to for 2 years and 10 years. And I know that many of the manufacturers, OEMs, and contractors have been working on, taking these requirements and ensuring that their equipment can meet these requirements. So many of you are much better experts than me on some of this stuff. But really, the key requirement is that the battery that is installed needs to prioritize charging during the peak solar generation times, and then discharge for a 2-hour period sometime between 6 and 6:30, and that needs to be programmed in. A key point here is this initial phase of the program, the scheduled dispatch phase, it only lasts for 2 years. And the next 8 years of the program still needs to be defined, and we're waiting for an order from the PUC to define that program. But there are some indicators of what that might look like. The successor, phase 2 may include a bring your own device type program. I'll go a little bit more into that later. And there are grid services procurement, contracts that are ongoing out there, and those could be another path for customers to take. And of course, HECO will have the ability to audit and claw back for failures to perform. Next slide, please. So with all this, the benefit that the customer gets is a one-time upfront payment for installation of a new battery for new and existing customers. The key is it has to be a new battery installed after July 1st, 2021 to get the incentive. The incentive structures I show you here, it starts at $850 per kW for the first tranche of 15 megawatts, and then goes down with the attainment of different tranches, with the attainment of different levels of megawatts. The payment can go to the system owner. This includes third-party owners. It's taxable income, so make sure you let your customers know this. And in addition, this is key, customers may be able to add an additional 5 kW of PV panels, 5 kW AC, or standard test conditions, whichever is less. I know there was a question about that already. And we please use prudence in marketing and selling this program to your customers. The way the program was designed, it really is best suited to NEM and NEM plus customers that can get NEM treatment, to get economic benefit from this program. So in other words, please run the numbers, to be sure that this is in the best interest of your client, not just for the next 6 months or 2 years, but for the 10 years of the program. Also beware, with everything that's going on in the market right now, we've been a little concerned about battery supply once the market really starts getting animated. Next slide, please. So, so in terms of current status, Hawaiian Electric is filing monthly status reports, but I got this information from a Star Advertiser article. There have been 334 applications as of last week. 143 have been approved so far. The number one reason for an application being rejected or sent back to a contractor is a missing building permit application. Also, there's incomplete applications coming in, but it's the building permit. There has been, this is a little bit slower uptake than we might have expected, and we've identified, reasons why we think this to be the case. As Ben was noting, we really need to pick up the pace to animate this market to reach that, sort of 10,000 installation goal to achieve the program. But really, the commission has made clear that almost any level of additional capacity that comes on in this program is going to be beneficial. So as you all know, there have been some technical and programmatic adjustments. The incentive, the performance payment was a little lower than what the DER parties had recommended. So that may be having an effect on the uptake. And really, there is need for clarity on the phase 2 of this program to give customers assurance of what they're getting into, particularly with the risk of those penalties and clawbacks. But what we're starting to see as one of the number one problems in getting this program up and running going in the future is permitting delays and obstacles with Department of Planning and Permitting at the City and County of Honolulu. And just know that we've been very active in engaging on this topic and with other stakeholders as well as the city and county and the state. So just so you know, there's a quarterly status conference coming up this Thursday at 9 a.m. Before the PUC. In that, we're going to present some of our remaining issues that we see. Next slide, please. And just to give you an idea, this is from the DER parties, which HSEA is a part of. This is from our emergency DR proposal. And you'll notice the scheduled dispatch program is that first 2 years on the left. This is what we're talking about now. But we do have proposals for the next 8 years out there. The PUC may not accept these proposals, but we propose a BYOD emergency demand response type program for the next 8 years for DERs. And with that, I'll give it back to Ben. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to present.
Thank you, Rocky. We appreciate everything that HSEA does for the industry. So next will be Kaiulani Shinsato with Hawaiian Electric.
Aloha, everyone. This is Kaiulani Shinsato. It's really great to be here today with all of you. I want to start with some mahalos first. Mahalo to CED Greentech for this opportunity to talk more and share information about our program with all of you. I love the fact that they've done a battery bonus week. That's really awesome. So thank you to Ben and the whole team. I also want to mahalo Rocky for his leadership with the HSEA. So far, he's been great to work with. And I have to say overall, you know, Rocky mentioned that this program was designed kind of lightning fast. It was kind of crazy, but what made it, I think, really valuable and effective was the fact that there was a lot of collaboration with the utility and the industry. So I'm really grateful for that. And then lastly, I want to thank all of you solar contractors for your time and interest in joining this webinar today. Rocky mentioned in his slide that contractors are vital to this program. I totally agree. It can be complicated. There are, you know, it's not a free battery program. There are obligations. And so the fact that you have taken the time to join this and learn more for our joint customers, I'm truly grateful. So a little bit about me. I am the co-director of our customer energy resources team at Hawaiian Electric. So what is that? We do everything related to rooftop PV and customer energy resources and batteries. So on my side of the house, we are the mighty team that accepts all of your applications for our residential and commercial programs that you're all pretty familiar with, whether it be Customer Grid Supply Plus, NEM Plus, now the Battery Bonus Program. We see those applications through the review process. We also oversee our shared solar program or community-based renewable energy. Phase 2 is about to launch pretty soon. Also our standard interconnection agreement program that many of our commercial customers sign up for. And then also strategy and policy for customer energy resources. So I'm involved in the DER proceeding that Rocky mentioned, and you know, designing new programs and designing new strategies to make sure that we can grow customer energy resources even more into our future. My co-director, you may have heard about Yo Kawanami. He oversees all of the operational side of customer energy resources. So our new DRMS, or our technical platform that we're going to be using to integrate all of these resources.
Good.
Oops, somebody might not be on mute. And then also our procurement of customer energy resources, our aggregator model that we just started up, and that I will mention a little bit more later on. I'm a policy strategy person, recovering lawyer by trade, but I have on a lot of technical teammates from our team, and so they will be able to answer any of your more technical related questions later on in our program. Okay, next slide, Hannah. So I'm going to give kind of a high level of the program. Many of the points actually Rocky just covered, so thank you, Rocky. But I want to mention up front that a lot of the details about the program are on our website, so please feel free to go there. I'm going to give you the information, the link at the end, if you want more information. And we are always available to answer your questions as well. So high level, Rocky mentioned, it's a cash incentive for residential and commercial customers on Oahu only to add storage to an existing or new rooftop solar system. So it's not for if you already had storage last year. It really is to incentivize new storage systems on Oahu only for now. That's just because we are trying to handle this retirement of the AES coal-fired plants in September of next year. So the program's genesis was really based on this need that was identified by our PUC. And don't worry, everybody, we aren't going to have like a capacity shortfall. Our planners are saying, if anything, it's reserves that will be short in this time period. And so we want to be able to gather these additional resources through customer energy resources in order to meet that need next year. So that's why it's a very fast-paced thing that we're trying to do. The one-time cash incentive is very new for us. For those of you who have been doing this for a long time, you all know that we had NEM program, and we had customer self-supply, we had customer grid supply. All of these programs never involved a cash incentive like this one. So it is very much a new thing that we're doing. We're hoping customers will be incentivized to take up storage based on this new incentive type of structure. Next slide, Anna. So I mentioned this up front, contractors, we really are relying on you to learn the program and work with customers to do this. That's the whole point of Battery Bonus Week, right? And it was also mentioned that this is not for everyone. It's not going to be a good fit for anybody who just might call you up and say, hey, I heard about this program, what is this? Sign me up. So we're asking for your kukua to really sit down with each of the customers, learn what their needs are, make sure it pencils out for them and that it's a right fit before signing them up. But we do have a very quick way to do this through our Quick Connect process. And that is actually our recommended path forward to ensure that customers are signed up as quickly as possible. You can get more information on Quick Connect at our website, the address that you see there. Okay, next slide. And here's the incentive. I'll kind of cover this quickly because it was just covered, but it's tiered in structure. The quicker you sign up your customer, the higher rate you get there at $850. Something that's, I think, definitely worth mentioning, it's based on committed capacity. So a customer is able to use more of their battery, for example, backup purposes. But whatever capacity they commit to provide to the utility is what we base the incentive payment on. So that's for the first 15 megawatts that we see come through the program. Then it's going to drop to 750, and the last 20 megawatt chunk is going to be paid at 500 per kW of committed capacity, until we get to the goal here is 50 megawatts of storage by next year. And whoever owns that system is going to get the incentive. If it's a third party lease type of situation, the leasing company will actually get that incentive. Okay, next slide. The incentive lock-in date is based on when a customer provides us an amendment. And when I say amendment, that's just the form that you submit to us that we process. And it's based on when the customer gets a verified building permit submission or building permit from the city and county of Honolulu. So just proof that you, submitted your application is all you need. And then it's going to be locked in for a specific amount of time. And this, I believe, was an ask from the solar industry. They were trying to avoid, I think, smartly, a situation where contractors will just put in, tons of building permits for maybe not so valid projects. And we didn't want that to happen. So once you get the date that you're locked in, it's set for a certain time, but will eventually expire if you don't actually install. Okay, next slide. So here's the main obligation. Because we are trying to mitigate our use of energy during peak, the evening peak, right, when we at the utility have the highest amount of demand to serve and when it's most expensive for us. So between 6 and 8:30 p.m., the participant must either use electricity or export it back to us for this set 2-hour block. This is every day of the week, including weekends and holidays, up through December 31st, 2023, which is when we've identified to have that reserve shortfall. The total program term is for 10 years, but this 2-hour scheduled dispatch type of program is going to run only until December 31st, 2023. The PUC is going to have to decide what it's going to look like after that in the second phase. Okay, next slide. Once the customer's battery is installed and operational, then the customer has 30 days to confirm operation to us. And so you submit 7 consecutive days worth of performance data. And what we're going to do is check that data to just verify that the system is actually performing according to our standards. And it also allows us to verify what the committed capacity, well, that it is performing at its committed capacity so that we can give the right incentive check to the customer. And we have to pay that incentive within 30 days after we receive the data. Next slide. So in case the customer is not happy with the program for whatever reason, they may end participation in the program by just providing us with 60-day notice. But because we have paid the customer an incentive to provide us a grid service, basically, then the customer will have to repay a prorated portion of that incentive. They can either do it on a lump sum basis or through some type of payment arrangement on their monthly bill. Next slide, please. So we hope this would be kind of a handy-dandy application checklist for all of you. It is also available on our website. What do you need to get a customer enrolled in this program? So first of all, customer needs to be already approved through one of our programs. So you need some underlying program, whether it's NEM+, CGS+, Smart Export, Customer Self-Supply. We've also seen, I believe, some SIA customers also come through for this program. And then you just submit an amendment form on top of their underlying program. Customer must install a new battery. And as I mentioned, use that battery per our requirements between 6 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. On a nightly basis. And we will provide the exact start time. In our development of this program, when we were talking with our system operators, they did not want a 50 megawatt resource coming on all at once at 6 o'clock and dropping off all at once at 8 o'clock. That would be really hard for them. So we're going to be staggering start times, and we will notify everyone of what your correct start time is on our website. But right now it's starting at 6 p.m. You'll need proof that you applied for a city and county building permit. And here's kind of all the legal requirements. You're going to have a signed emergency demand response amendment, a signed scheduled dispatch program agreement. And these terms here are pretty much the same thing, but these are kind of the more legal regulatory terms for the program. Emergency DR, scheduled dispatch program. Battery bonus, we thought, is kind of better for marketing purposes, but we're pretty much talking about all the same thing. Give us 7 days of operational data once you've gotten the system installed. And we'll also be needing a W-9 because this is treated as income by the IRS. So mail that to our address. Next slide, please. So early challenges. We did receive some applications right off the bat, but unfortunately we did have to return several of those applications. The most common problem was missing a building permit. That is a requirement because we want to make sure that these are actually viable projects going forward. So we're not taking up, capacity in the 50 megawatt capacity. So we had some single line drawing issues such as missing an AC disconnect and some ownership issues like missing some trust documents. I'm happy to say that the rejection rate has really dropped significantly since the first month or so of the program. And I think it's just because contractors have learned more in this short period of time and have corrected their errors. But again, we want to see the rejection rate drop down to 0 if we can. So if any of you have questions at any time, please feel free to reach out to our team, and we're happy to work with you. I mentioned that we also oversee the aggregator process and model. And so that is ongoing in parallel with this program, and Swell and OATI are our two approved aggregators. They will be offering kind of a similar home battery incentive, not a part of battery bonus, but similar. So just flagging for you all that this may cause some customer confusion and questions. If you all have questions, feel free to contact us, or please direct customers to our website where we also have information on our aggregator model. Okay, next slide, please. So this is, this is September 21 data. This was in the newspaper article that Rocky mentioned that just came out about the program and that you have seen. So I am going to skip over the view. I will note total installed is 0. I think we're getting closer. We started receiving validation, so we are getting closer to having actual final installed projects, which will be exciting. But yes, again, encouraging all of you to get out there and help us promote this program and reach our goals. Okay, next slide, please. And I'm gonna skip this one. I think we've covered it. I'm gonna jump to what we've been doing to promote it. We did a big news release on July 19th. We sent in all of our engagement communication material to the PUC. We've been promoting it on social media platforms. Here is our website where you can visit. There's a wealth of information there. We put together kind of a one-pager flyer for customers. I think we've also given that to CED Greentech for distribution to all of you. We've done newspaper articles, radio, TV appearances, really trying to get the news out about battery bonus. And next slide, please. So there's our website again. Please feel free to use our one-pager, the customer explainer, with your customers. And then we have an FAQ there at the website that is continuously being updated. So again, going back to this theme of collaboration, I learned so much when I talk to you who are out there in the market selling the program right now, we learn a lot. And so based on what we learn from you, we're able to put better information out there to all of you and to our customers. So please, keep the feedback coming, keep the questions coming. That really helps us just keep people better informed all around. And then finally, if you have questions at any time, here's our Connect email address. Please feel free to use that and reach out to us. We're really happy to help you. And I think that is it. Yes. So happy to take questions at the end. Ben, I'll hand it back to you.
Lonnie, we really appreciate everything that Hawaiian Electric does, and Battery Bonus is a great program. So now we're going to turn things over to Matt Kay with Concert Finance.
Thanks so much, Ben. Aloha and good morning, everybody. My name is Matt Kay. I'm with the CED Greentech Finance Solutions team, and wanted to spend some time here to quickly introduce our Concert Finance program, and specifically our Aloha Flex Loan, which we created in very short time here specifically for this Battery Bonus program. A couple of notes here about Concert Finance. We built this program internally, so we're offering it only to CED Greentech customers. It's a finance platform allowing you to offer financing to your homeowners. And key benefit of this is that we do have equipment paid for directly by Concert Finance. So if you're using this program and sell a loan to one of your homeowners, you can order equipment directly from Ben and the team at CED and have those equipment invoices deducted from your payments when you complete the install. We do have 2 milestone payments, one smaller payment up front when you've applied for your permitting, and one final payment at the installation once you have the equipment fully installed. No waiting for PTO to get you fully paid out, and our confirmations to get the milestone payments are very simple, involve a text message to the homeowner or an email for those who aren't familiar or comfortable with text messaging. Our tech platform allows for a very easy, simple process. We have a soft credit check up front to find out how much homeowners qualify for. You have instant credit results at your fingertips, and we allow for electronic loan signing to get your loan closed in a matter of minutes. Specifically, moving on to the next slide, the Aloha Flex Loan. We rolled this out specifically for the Hawaii market, and a couple of key benefits here. We have no payments for the homeowner for 18 months. So when you finish that installation, get your modules on the roof and start working on connecting the system, your homeowner has a full 18 months before they see the first bill. Also allows for additional flexibility. At month 18, it will re-amortize to a monthly payment, expecting them to pay off the 26% ITC credit. And your customer has flexibility to pay down any additional principal on that loan and recalculate the monthly payment at month 18, month 30, and month 42. We have low interest rates available, and definitely encourage you all to sign up for our breakout sessions tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, where we can go into greater details on the specifics of the program, the process, and this Aloha Flex Loan. My colleague Mike Conover is on the line along with me here, and both of us are available to help you get through the onboarding process. We have a simple online application to join Concert Finance, and again, all CED Greentech customers are eligible. We are really thankful for Ben giving us a lot of incentive to get this program up and running very quickly. And we're looking forward to getting as many of you enrolled in this program and taking advantage of this Aloha Flex Loan as possible. Thanks so much, Ben, and thanks for everybody else on the call today.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Next, we're going to be moving to Neal Martin with Generac.
Thanks, Ben. And thank you, CED Greentech, for setting this up. As Lonnie mentioned, they did a lot of advertising and promotion for the Battery Bonus program, so I'm sure there's been an uptick from homeowners trying to ask questions and gather interest on this program. I know I've received a lot of calls and requests and texts on if we can do this program. So the answer has always been yes, more information to come. I should start by, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Neal Martin. I'm the local representative here for Generac and PowerCell. I was originally with Pika Energy. We were acquired by Generac in April of 2019. We since introduced the PowerCell inverter PV plus storage system into the market with all the local features and benefits that have uniquely put us in a great position for new installs. As we've expanded, we've added additional local support here. We have two more local representatives based on Oahu that have started in the last couple months here, and the majority of our systems have been the new installs. If you go to the next slide, sorry. So majority have been new installs, but this battery bonus program puts us into a unique position where we can be a great fit for this retrofit and it going after existing NEM accounts. It's really exciting that this program is being introduced. I think Rocky pointed out a lot of interesting features of this program specifically. It's really neat that we're going to be taking down this coal fire power plant and replacing it with renewable energy. I think that's a lot of the reasons why we're in this industry. And with that being said, in this program, it gives us a unique opportunity based on the size of our systems. With our larger batteries, we have pretty high output compared to others in the market, where it can really benefit on the performance rate that's going to be guaranteed for what we can output. As a company, we service all kinds of virtual power plants. Not all are performance-based, and very few are disadvantageous. PowerCell is an ideal fit for this program. With the higher capacities and higher power outputs, we expect to be a pretty simple design and installation for us. Next slide. So with that, you can see that there is going to be different rate structures they talked about. So whether it's the first start to the program, the first 15 megawatts, going into the next 15, and then the final 20. I'll touch in the more technical details and specifics. If you want to go to the next slide. Tomorrow we are going to be doing our breakout session, so we'll discuss in more details the specific breakdown of the nominal capacity and discharge rate for the 2-hour period. Right now, these are kind of conservative numbers we use based on our spec sheets for the discharge rate, and that's not over a shortened 2-hour window where we can actually probably output a little bit more, but you can kind of get an idea of some of the incentives that would be provided to the homeowner based on the size of the battery and the time it's applied for based on the rate HECO will be providing. If you want to go to the next slide. In our breakout session tomorrow, I'll get into a little bit more details on some of the new features and benefits specific for the Hawaii market. We'll get into our new power manager. It's specific for whole home backup solutions and load shedding capabilities for better outage scenarios. So if you are going to be providing a battery to existing NEM accounts and they're looking into more backup power capabilities, you can kind of add more features with that. And then if we go to the next slide, I'll touch on also our new DC generator, where we'll be able to add to existing sites as well. That, those are for people who are more concerned on the backup power type needs and, with just load shedding, but want to have more resiliency. This has been a new feature that's released and expected in Q1 of next year. So I believe it starts at 11 a.m. tomorrow. You should have all received an email on that. So we'll get into the more specifics and details on Generac, PowerCell, and how to properly install it for the battery bonus program. But if there's any questions, you can always reach out to me directly. As Lonnie mentioned, HECO, there's not many. I think there was 0 completely installed sites right now, and I think a lot of the contractors are still trying to gather details on requirements for the program. That's similar to the manufacturers and HECO as well, where we're making sure we have all the details to properly provide that so we have successful installs in the future. So we are able to meet all the criteria, but I'll get into details tomorrow as far as best practice and designs. So hope to see you all then. And Ben, I'll hit it back to you.
Thank you, Neal. We appreciate that. Next, we have Michael Bliske with QCells. Mike, you may need to unmute yourself.
There we go. I'm sorry about that. Thanks, Ben, for inviting us to the event this week. QCells is very excited to be part of the solution in assisting Hawaii to meet their energy goals. For those that don't know me, my name is Mike Bliske. I'm the Director of Module Sales, and I've been with QCells for 6 years. I've been supporting the Hawaiian market for 14 years and in the industry for 20 years. And I'm very happy to be on board with QCells being a market leader in the solar PV market. Next slide, please. This is the, oh, where did we go? There's our factory that's in the state of Georgia. So we essentially provide our modules out of the United States, for the United States, I should say, in the event that a customer wants to have that requirement. So we provide that option for the customer as well. Next slide. Here's an example of an installation. Essentially, one of the families that stepped up to take on our system and essentially be a trial for our product, and that product is currently up and running. Next, please. This essentially gives you a view of what's important with our system, essentially making life livable without having to worry about power, having the ability to monitor where things are, and essentially take away the concern of the energy component. Being part of the battery bonus piece, essentially we're going to provide a flexible system. We're all encompassing. What we mean by that is we provide the solution not only for the batteries, but also for the modules. And we include a rapid shutdown environment for those that are a DC coupled solution. Next page. Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. Essentially, we can also provide AC solutions. So we can go ahead and match an existing system and essentially meet the requirements for those systems as well. The monitoring is remote, so it can be viewed on your mobile phone as well as on the web. We can scale. We're a very flexible solution, so we can tailor a small solution depending on one's budget, and we can scale to a larger system in the event that someone wants to have more flexibility. We do provide backup power up to 7.5 kilowatts, which is one of the things that is an advantageous thing to have for the system. And we provide a full 10-year warranty supplied by QCells. Next page, please. Essentially, Hanwha QCells is a very large company, Fortune 500. And if you're going to make a decision investing in your equipment, you're going to want a very strong company to back your product on the back end. And the Hanwha Group would be one that I would recommend that you choose. Next, please. So we are going to be tailored for the HECO program. So we've got a special upgrade that we're performing to support the requirements of the HECO program. So rest assured that the solution, when it gets installed, that you'll be able to get the funding for the program. We have multiple work modes, so we can not only meet the requirements of HECO, but we can also work to support other requirements as well. Most important is obviously the battery bonus piece, because we want to make sure that we assist Hawaii in meeting their goals. But ultimately, we already have the numbers in place so that you can move the systems forward quickly at this point and not have any delays due to the permitting side. That's pretty much what we'd like to speak to today, and I thank you all for joining. We look forward to seeing you again on Thursday, where we'll go more in depth on the technical side. All right, thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Mike. Next up, we're going to have Maz with Enphase.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Ben. Thanks for everyone's time today. I just want to thank CED, HSEA, and Hawaiian Electric for the time. I'm Maz with Enphase. I've been in the business for 12 years, been with Enphase for 3+ years, and I cover Hawaii, as well as I cover Hawaii with Kartik Royapet, who's my counterpart who covers Hawaii for the last, I think, 8 to 9 years. Quick note, oh, yeah, there you go. Thank you. So Enphase is super excited about the batteries program, considering the huge opportunity with NEM customers. You know, Enphase has been in Hawaii for, I think, since 2008. We have over 36,000 NEM customers. Huge opportunity for our installer base who wants to go back to those customers, follow up, introduce the battery bonus program. And Enphase is built for Hawaii. I mean, that's basically, we've been there the longest, we've been doing this the longest. With those 36,000 customers, this program fits well. The cashback from Hawaiian Electric, the early adopters, the NEM customers, and then you could start with a really small battery and add on from there. Next slide. As far as the incentive, I know we've gone over this probably 2 or 3 times, but again, this just shows you the opportunity with those 36,000 NEM customers and what's possible, right? Considering the size of the system and the opportunity to get the incentives. Next. With Enphase, with our Enphase storage system, you know, we obviously deal with low voltage, safety. The chemistry we use is superior to our competitors with lithium iron phosphates. As far as the remote dispatch and what our system can do, we're ready to go software-wise to accommodate Hawaiian Electric's needs for that dispatch between 6 p.m. and 8:30. So Enphase is ready to go. I know I've talked to a lot of you guys. We will be having a breakout session to dive deeper into the specs and what is needed and what can be done with an Enphase storage system with Tony Arnetti. So that's this week. So please sign up. I will be there as well to help answer any questions you guys have. Next slide. Oh, no more slides. So again, I do appreciate everybody's time. You know, again, with those 36,000 plus NEM customers, huge opportunity to install Enphase storage system. I'm looking forward to further discussions in the next coming days, and I do appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
Thank you, Maz. I appreciate everyone's time and all the efforts of all our sponsors, Hawaiian Electric, HSEA. We've got quite a few questions, and we're all going to stay on the line for another half an hour to take those questions. So if you have questions, we would encourage you to put them into the chat section, the questions bar there on the webinar. And also encourage you to sign up for the breakout sessions that will be held later this week. So, Hannah, do we want to jump into the questions now? All right, so one of the first questions that we received in terms of, I'll address one question with ensemble with our concert finance program. Is there a dealer fee? There is a dealer fee. One of our major things in creating this program was to have a lower dealer fee than what you find on most fintech products. So our dealer fee ranges between 4.99 and 5.99%, depending on how many loans a contractor does per month. So we encourage you to attend a session to learn all the details, but there is a lower dealer fee associated with this product. I have a question here that I'd like to direct to Hawaiian Electric. The question is, for the 5K edition of a PV system, is this 5K DC or AC? If you have a 5 kilo AC inverter, can you install more DC? My understanding of this would be yes. I have a question related to this that I'd like to ask Hawaiian Electric. If an inverter is derated from 6 to 5 kilowatts, I assume that's okay, but can you address the DC versus AC rating to be part of the program?
Thank you, Ben. Nohale, would you be able to take that question? Or Tanai, please. Hi, Ben. Come back.
I mean, the quick answer is, yeah, you can derate it. Anything out of the inverter, as long as it's 5 kW or below, will work.
Okay, that's our understanding. So obviously the rating, the AC rating, or the STC rating of the modules would be the limiting factor. And if the inverter is derated, then you would be able to use that derated value.
Yeah.
Okay. We appreciate that. We have a question here. I'll also direct this to Hawaiian Electric. How does adding battery capacity after entering the program work? Either adding additional battery or adding additional modules for the batteries that are modules. So if you started out with a smaller battery and then the customer wanted to install more, how would that be handled through the program?
You would just amend again, as long as it's within the time frame. You can keep adding more batteries, and we can keep adding the incentives up. It doesn't need to be one time.
Okay, and presumably the batteries would, the incentive that would be paid would be what was available at that time?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Lonnie, we have another question for your team. Can you speak to the differences between the battery bonus program and the SWELL program and OATI program?
Yeah, let me try. Battery bonus program is a one-time incentive for installing the battery and providing that committed capacity. The SWELL program is providing grid services, so FFR capacity. The capacity is probably at the same time, but the incentive comes from SWELL/OATI, and you get monthly incentives from us. So it's different programming of the battery. It's a different incentive structure, and although SWELL and OATI are contracted to Hawaiian Electric, they would be installing the battery for the customer.
Okay, we appreciate that. There was a follow-up question from adding additional capacity. Does the additional capacity have to go into the EDRP program?
Is it added capacity to the battery bonus battery? Is that the question?
Yeah, my understanding would be that if you had some capacity in the battery bonus program and then you wanted to add additional capacity outside of battery bonus, would that be allowed?
Oh yes. So you can install the battery and only commit 2 out of the 5 kW, and then later on add 3 more if you wanted to, if you felt safer in doing so. It's, again, this is all up to your committed capacity, not necessarily the full amount of your battery.
Okay, thank you. We have another question for Hawaiian Electric. Question is, will the battery bonus program come to Maui County?
Oh, go ahead, Nohea. Only kiss my dog.
No, go ahead, Lonnie. You.
I can start. I'm sorry for the noise in the background, everyone. So far, as I mentioned, the genesis of the program was really based on a resource need. So for Oahu, it's the retirement of AES. There are resource needs being discussed on the island of Maui. So there is some potential, but we're gonna leave that to continued discussion and decision by the PUC.
Thank you, Lonnie. I'm looking here. Were there any additional questions for any of the panelists? There are. Please type them into the chat. Lonnie, this is Ben. I had a question. Do you anticipate? I know that there's been and Rocky, you can maybe chime in here, but do you anticipate any changes to the incentive structure?
As of right now, I don't, Ben. However, that said, we are having our first quarterly meeting with the solar industry and all the other parties to the DER docket and the commission this Thursday. And so we'll see if that gets put on the table, but as of today, no, I don't anticipate that.
Yeah, hi, this is Rocky. Yeah, the commission in its decision and order basically said they were open to modifications to make sure that the program was a success. I'm not sure we're there yet in terms of needing to in terms of highlighting that kind of point. But again, the commission has indicated a willingness to make modifications to the program as needed to ensure its success.
Thank you, Rocky. Thank you, Lonnie.
And I will also say this. Can I just say also, the DER parties have mentioned this in our filings as a potential. Mentioned the level of the payments. We've mentioned that as a potential. Again, we actually recommended for a higher incentive level to animate the market, and we made it clear in our filings that what we thought that level was. And how there was really success in a program in California with California ISO incentivizing solar hot water in the face of an emergency there related to Aliso Canyon. But having said that, we're not there yet in this next status conference.
Thank you, Rocky. Thank you, Lonnie. We've got another question I believe should be probably directed at Hawaiian Electric. Is there any cap for committed capacity per customer? So if somebody wanted to put a 7 kilowatt capacity battery, would that be allowed? That was just an example. I guess the question is there any capacity cap?
There is no capacity cap, and Nohea and others, please correct me if I'm wrong or give additional detail.
No, there's no cap. I mean, 50 megawatts.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that just in terms of customer expectations, if you don't have enough PV to charge the battery, that might not be a good customer experience if you exceeded the, if you went too high with the battery capacity. But thank you for that answer.
I'll add one more thing for context. For most of our underlying programs, we do have a cap for system size at 100 kW. So that would come into play with the exception of SIA, which doesn't have a cap for systems.
I'd like to this is Rocky from HSEA. I'd like to reiterate the point that Ben just made. Really the size, while there is no explicit cap on the battery capacity, it really is an economic calculation for the customer. You really do have to have a customer that is able to get, an economic benefit from that storage during that period of time from 6 to 8:30 p.m., whether it's them using it themselves or whether they're exporting it to the grid and receiving, whatever level credit they're receiving. So that's really the cap is really it's a soft, sort of economic and financial, customer expectations cap, if you will. And again, just specifically, we see this program being really good for NEM customers because they get that, retail rate of credit for exports, or NEM Plus customers who can actually just enroll and get the NEM credit straight from NEM Plus at this stage, which was a clarification that we sought out from Hawaiian Electric, and they worked really well with us on it. So appreciate that.
Thank you, Rocky. There's another question here from Alan Leonard. Because of the program DR requirements, does HECO want batteries to be charged from any source, i.e. grid if weather is inclement, to discharge during a scheduled DR period? What future technology, years 3 to 10, will HECO implement to verify discharge cycles are performed successfully?
That was a long question. I'm going to try and take it in pieces. So we do not want batteries charging from the grid, only from the renewable resource. That's a rule. What future technology will HECO implement to verify discharge cycles are performed successfully? So we're installing AMI meters, hopefully in the next couple of years, that will measure the load at the house load, whole house load, and we should be able to see the kW discharge from the battery at the start time of the event. Did I answer the question?
Hi, this is Rocky. Yeah, thanks, Nohea. I'd also like you to say that the DER parties have been talking with Hawaiian Electric about what we're kind of calling a reasonableness standard related to the failure to perform, and sort of clawback provisions in there. We've got a good response, but we actually are thinking that we may want to codify that kind of sort of reasonableness standard in tariff. And so we'll be talking about that on Thursday in the status conference. What we're basically saying is that if there's a reasonable assurance, and the commission uses that language in their filings, if there's a reasonable assurance that the battery is going to be charged with solar, from the midday, based on the ratio of the battery size to PV size, that there should be some type of assurance for customers. That's not codified in tariff yet, but we may be seeking that from the DER party's standpoint.
That would make everybody's it help customers be more confident of their committed capacity. So I like that idea a lot.
Thank you, Rocky.